that was something that Jimmy Capps did. I can't do it like he did. There's only one Jimmy Capps, and let me tell you, he was very good at being Jimmy Capps. What an amazing guitar player. What an amazing man. And we lost Jimmy a few days ago. I have been getting calls and texts from all over the country, people that said, Lord, he got somebody good when he took him to heaven. And he did. And he said, Doyle, we know you lost a good friend. And I sure did. And I miss him already. I just prayed with him a couple of days before and they were taking him to the hospital. Just wasn't, you know, you're never prepared for anything like this. But I got to talk to him a few days ago, and I even mentioned it on one of my blogs and in my video. And I just love Jimmy. I remember the last time I played on the Grand Ole Opry, I actually played this guitar right here. It's an Olson, but I was playing this. And that little he said, that's my favorite ending of all times. And we were playing that one night, and when he said that, I want to tell you, I'll never ever forget Jimmy Capps said that to me. And that's my arrangement on Avalon. But I love Jimmy. He was a wonderful man. And Michelle, his wife, also, just a wonderful person. They call her the chart chick. When I was with Grandpa Jones, Jimmy Capps was staff. He was a staff guitarist on the Grand Ole Opry, and he and Leon Rhodes and Spider Wilson, what a team those guys were. And I learned so much just by watching him. I just stand there for hours because you could get close up to the stage and even stand on stage back then. It was an amazing time. Years later, after I left Grandpa Jones and I went into ministry for a few years, well, I came back and went back to Nashville, recorded my first instrumental CD, and back in that time, I think it was fingerstyle guitar. And it was sitting on Bob Whitaker's desk, sent over by Leslie Elliott. Ron Elliott, the steel guitar player's wife, worked for Step One Records. And he said he was so tired. Bob Whitaker said, I didn't want to go through all these CDs, but right on top was Doyle Dykes. And he said, well, if it's instrumental, I can listen to that. And so he listened to it and he liked it. And the next Friday night at the Opry, he called Jimmy Capps in his office. He said, do you know this guy? Well, I've known Doyle since he was with Grandpa Jones back in the 70s. You got to have him on the show. And he did. He had me immediately. And then about a week or so after the first time I was on, and that was in, I think, around 1995, he called me up and he said, would you do me a favor? Bob Whitaker said, would you do me a favor? I'd like for you to be on the Opry again. And I'm going to have something called Guitar Man Night. And he said, I want you and Chet Atkins, and I already have Dwayne Eddy. And he said, we're going to try to get Chet, and of course we'll have the Opry guitar trio, which is Jimmy Capps, Leon Rhodes, and Spider Wilson. And wow, they did an amazing job. Of course, Chet was on the show. I was on the show, Dwayne Eddy. That was the night I met Dwayne. Dwayne's been a big influence in my life too. In fact, my guitar, I patterned my signature guitar after his G back in the 60s. He had a solid G, and I took the color of the patina of this natural kind of golden patina from his old Gill guitar. And so these are guitar heroes of mine. But with Jimmy Capps, I remember one time I was doing the album, in fact it had Martha's Kitchen, and I asked Dwayne if he would play on it. There's a song I wrote called Dwayne Thing. And there's another one I wrote called Three Little Miracles, and I asked Dwayne if he would play on it. Well, who you got as musicians? I said, well, Dave Pomeroy and then Jimmy Capps. Jimmy Capps, You know, of course, he knew Dave Pomeroy too. He said, "Say no more, I'm on." And people just felt comfortable around Jimmy. I remember when I would go on the Opry, I can't tell you how many times, even the last time I was on the Opry, you know, you get nervous and everything. And I look back and I see Jimmy walking up on the stage. And it's just such a warmth that just comes over me. And he was just such a big, great, just huge, almost a guitar father figure to me. And with him, or I should say big brother, but with him, because Jimmy passed a few days ago, we've lost a whole era has gone by now, and it'll never come back. And so Jimmy Capps, with all the accolades and awards and everything that he has won, he was just a friend. He was just a wonderful guy. And he talked about people that way. He would say, "Oh, he's a fine picker," but you know, he's a wonderful fellow. He would talk more about the person than their gift or their talent to play or to sing. And he valued friendship. And he was just perfect at being Jimmy Capps. There'll never be another one. If you get a chance, I'd love for you to order his book, The Man in Back. And this would be a blessing to his wife, Michelle, too, I'm sure. And there's a photo of the two of them on the back. Of course, Jimmy was on Larry's Country Diner for years. He was what the man they called the sheriff. And here I am on the diner with Jimmy down there at the bottom page here. And I just had so much fun with him, and I can't say enough about him. And I hope you folks will just get everything you can with Jimmy Capps on it. You won't regret it. God bless you, folks. I'm going to play at his memorial. Michelle called last night and asked if I'd play. I think it might be at the Opry House. Not sure yet, but we're going to do that next week. And more on that later. But God bless you, folks. Have a great weekend. And remembering Jimmy Capps.